course of the time, I couldn't get time to do it, or you can say the drive goes missing after some time.
This is very natural. Very natural.
So how to come back to that?
So there are two things, like, because we've all been there. I'll tell you very honestly, even my first Art of Living course, you learn some breathing techniques. I thought, it's very nice, interesting. Then for a few weeks, I was very regular. Every day I'll get up a little earlier. And then it becomes more tough, let me sleep a few minutes more, or I have some other things to do. But this is nothing unique, let's be honest. So many people, they know, okay, I'm supposed to exercise, or I'm supposed to go for a walk, or supposed to, take some time for my yoga practice. But then to make it part of your life, of your daily routine, is a little challenging,
Yeah.
And that is why me and you mentioned the book I've written, Looking Inward, Meditating to Survive in a Changing World. So there I have actually dedicated one chapter to all these kind of challenges. That, okay, how do you find time to do the things that you know you should be doing? And also some insight on how the mind works, because if you see somewhere, we know it's good for us, but then it's all a matter of priority, right? So sometimes also that, yes, I should be doing this, but then to find the time is difficult. At the same time, you sometimes notice that someone may have been struggling for a long time to make a change in their lifestyle, and then suddenly something happens and they're able to do it overnight. Like, I have a good friend, he used to smoke, I don't know how many packets of cigarettes a day. And of course, everybody knows it's not good for you. Nowadays, it's even written on the packet in big letters, So intellectually, we know, okay, this is not good for health. But still, so many people do it. Why? Because somewhere they get some relief, or they feel nice, or they got used to it. And somewhere it doesn't really click yet that really this is not good for me. But then what happened, one of his close friends suddenly died. Not because of smoking, but he had cancer, which is of course very unfortunate. But then seeing that and experiencing that, for him suddenly something clicked. And he said, what am I doing? Just because it's comfortable or it's convenient, but this can also give me cancer. So why would I even want to take that risk? And overnight he stopped. Before he tried so many times to quit, but suddenly he realized, yes, this is not good for me. And it was very easy. So it's a matter of also really understanding that. The same I've seen in this lockdown. Some of my friends who used to always say, I don't have time, they suddenly started messaging me. I started my meditation every day, 15, 20 minutes. Because now they realized, one, okay, they had a little extra time, but also the necessity. They said, I'm not able to do any of my other things properly. My mind is such a mess, and medication can only get you so far, and it's not ideal, of course. How many pills can you take? So I think it's also a matter of awareness, and I think we've seen over the last 10, 15 years also, all over the world, there is a lot of increased awareness when it comes to not just the physical health, but also the mental and emotional health aspect. When we see how popular yoga has become, meditation has become, when you see how many people are turning to a more healthy diet. It's not at first we didn't know that junk food is junk. That's why we call it junk food. But if you see now, not recently, time flies, but before the pandemic, when I went to Europe for a visit, the amount of people now that is taken to a vegetarian and even a vegan diet is increasing rapidly, And if you would have asked me 10, 20 years ago, it was very uncommon, And especially some countries like Germany, to even find something vegetarian, it's a challenge. So we see a lot of awareness, and I think the same is with this. It's a matter of realizing that this is something I need to do. It's an investment that is worth it, or that is necessary. Just like we find time to brush our teeth. Presuming everybody does that, it's recommended. But however busy you are, you'll find time to brush your teeth. Same way, at least maybe once a day, usually people will be taking a bath, Same way, even, you make sure that you have time to eat. You don't say, today I was so busy, I didn't have food. No, you will find time. Somehow, beach maker, you will, you may be eating in a hurry, that's okay, but you'll make sure you do it. And from my experience over the years, the more I started seeing the benefits and the practical results of my meditation practice, it has become such a part of my daily routine that even if it means I have to get up a little earlier or have a little less time to maybe do some other things, I'll make sure that I take that little bit of time and And it's a good investment, then you're more efficient in your work. So it's like recharging your battery. So that way it pays back as well.
Definitely, you gave a good tip how to continue again on that. Should a person do the meditation to get the maximum results out of that?
It's of course quite a deep question in the sense, because meditation itself is quite a vast topic. I've written about it in detail in my book. For those who are keen, they can check it out. But a few of the things that, in brief, a few tips I can give is that one, we need to understand that meditation doesn't mean that you have to sit on a mountain for so many hours and only then it works. A very good time for meditation as a daily practice. A retreat can be a different story, but for your daily practice, if you can sit for say 20 minutes in the morning, in the evening, that is a very good time. It doesn't have to be half an hour, 1 hour, 2 hours, because also sometimes that scares people. At the same time, nowadays you have some of these apps on your phone also, they say 2-minute meditation. That doesn't work. It needs, even if you look at the way our system works, the sympathetic, the parasympathetic nervous system. So it takes about 15-20 minutes to really get into that state of rest. Otherwise now usually we have so many things that make us stressed or that stimulate us, that most of the time we are functioning in that state of what we call fight or flight. Your system is not at ease. So 20 minutes is a good time, and then to make the most of it, one of the main tips is that to be able to, and this is a skill that takes a little time to practice maybe, but to be able to really drop everything for a moment. As if you have died, where you say, okay, I'm forgetting that I'm an editor, that I have to do interviews, that I have so many responsibilities. Maybe someone in your family may have given you a list of groceries to get on your way back home, or you may have to file some income tax returns, or when we are able to drop all those identities, all those to-do lists, all those pending things, all those desires or whatever may be there, and if you really can feel that as if you stop to exist for a moment, what we call dispassion, vairagya in Sanskrit, where you say, okay, for a moment, it's as if you don't exist. I'm nothing, I'm nobody, I don't have to do anything. The more you're able to really let go, and it's not so difficult, but there's that conscious awareness where you, for a moment, because it's not forever, just for 20 minutes, you drop all of those things. Okay, all those things you have to do, we will see after 20 minutes. But if you can really drop that, you will find that that itself makes it so much easier to go deep in meditation. Otherwise, what may happen is that you sit and the mind starts settling down, but then suddenly some of these thoughts may come up. They need a hook to latch onto. So suddenly you remember, oh yes, I still have to do this thing, or I have to get back to that person, or I have to, send a request for this interview or whatever it may be, making it relevant for your situation. But because this is a challenge for many people, they say, okay, I want to meditate, and they may have learned a technique or received some guidance somewhere, and then you sit and you close your eyes and you're very sincere, but then so many thoughts keep coming. And the problem is with the mind is that it works in a different way than our body. So on the level of the mind, if you resist, if you think, oh, I don't want to think about it, it becomes more. This is a big problem, a big challenge that many people face, because we have not understood that the mind works opposite. On the level of the body, if you want to do anything, you need to put effort. No? Say you want to exercise, you want to build muscle in your body, you have to go to the gym. If you want to lose weight, you have to exercise. You want to learn how to play the guitar, you'll have to practice. So anything we do requires effort. It requires you to do something. But on the level of the mind, it is opposite. And many of us don't know this, and that is where we struggle. Because if you see a student when they go for the exams, I know now also exams were going on, I got so many messages from, mostly parents, saying that please do some prayers for my children, because they're preparing for this GE exam and this and that, and we want them to succeed. Now, I know so many students, they study so sincerely. I was one of them once upon a time. You were as well. And you study so hard, and it's not that you don't know most of the things, but then when you sit in the exam, suddenly there is something and you think, oh God, I knew this, but what is it? And it's on the tip of your tongue. But the more you try to remember it, it doesn't come.
The mind goes blank sometimes.
Yeah, and the moment, the sad thing is then when you finish the exam and you hand in the papers, suddenly you remember. It's terrible. When you can no longer write it down, suddenly it comes back. Why? Because you relax. Okay, the exam is finished. Whether you messed up or not, or you did very well, whatever may be the case, but at least for today you are done. So you relax. And the moment you relax, suddenly you remember. Because for the mind to function at its best, it needs to be relaxed. So whether it's remembering something, whether it is you trying to forget something, not think about someone, even you wanting to relax. There are so many people at night, they lie in their bed, they're really tired. And they're not able to fall asleep because so many things keep going in their head. And you think, oh, for God's sake, let me sleep. I just want to relax. The more you try to relax, it doesn't work. So meditation is learning that skill, how to totally relax the mind. And that is why you see that it's not just that 20 minutes that you sit, even throughout the day. Your perception, your observation, your expression, your communication improves, your memory improves, your quality of your sleep improves at night. So it's a very valuable skill. But for some reason, this has been missing for most of us in our standard education, even though it's changing now. And that is why I felt, let me at least dedicate my time. I have experienced the benefits in myself and in so many others. Let me see how I can contribute in sharing this beautiful knowledge with more people, because people are really struggling.
You have been a disciple of Shri Shri Ravi Shankarji. The name doesn't require any introduction. So what was it that you learned from him and from your initial journey under him? And now
honestly, when it comes to any of these things, I would say that I have learned everything from him. Whether it is some of the knowledge that I have shared in my book, it's valuable things that along the way and different instances I would have heard him say or speak, or I would have experienced or discovered, and I thought, this is something very useful. But I think especially initially, one thing that really hooked me was to see how he was able to do so many things, because if you see his schedule, it's crazy. You wouldn't want to wish it on anyone. At the same time, traveling across the world, like 40, 50 countries a year, it's like a continuous jet lag. And you and me, if we go to another time zone altogether, your body needs at least 1 or 2 days to adjust, because suddenly you have to sleep when you're awake and the other way around. The climate will be different, the food will be different. But he's been doing that continuously for the last 40 years. Happily, without getting stressed out, without taking a holiday. And I had a chance to travel with him at different occasions. And if you see the schedule, it's like, in a way you can say it's inhuman. Most of us, after a few days, however nice it is, you say, okay, now we need a break. But when I used to see that, and he doesn't get angry, he doesn't get stressed out or, annoyed. When someone comes and meets him or talks to him, it may be just for even a few seconds, 1 or 2 minutes, but his whole attention is there. He is really there. So to be able to live with such, you can say, an intensity, or to see that this is our potential, for me was something that really prompted me to find out, okay, if I may not be able to do what he is doing, but I want to find out how much I can do. Because I looked at my life and see, okay, how much am I doing and how much is he doing? And that means we have a much bigger potential. And if I look at my life now and 5-10 years ago, there is still an expansion in the sense that I can do so much more, and that too more effortlessly. And also to maintain a certain quality that even if you're tired, you may not have slept much for 1 or 2 nights, but the quality of your state of mind, the quality of your thoughts, your overall feeling of well-being is much more. And for me, this is something so valuable, because let's face it, wherever we go, sometimes things may be pleasant, sometimes you may be comfortable, and sometimes you're not. And many times we cannot choose. You can't help it. If suddenly your train gets delayed, you're stuck in the station. Or, if the person next to you in the flight is really much bigger and did not take a bath, and you have to sit there for 10 hours, then that's it. If the flight is full, you cannot change your seat. But then, even in such a situation, what is the quality of your state of mind? Will you be able to relax? Or if you're stuck in a traffic jam, can you still be happy, or can you be focused or productive? Or are you getting annoyed or stressed out? So this is something that I've seen, that he is so, and he's so comfortable in any situation. He went to places like Iraq when the what is it called? Not the Taliban, but the ISIS was there. And he's been to all kinds of very difficult places, and there also he feels at home. And I've seen from my own experience, I've traveled, like I said, a lot in the northeastern region as well. So in places like Arunachal Pradesh, we used to go even to the interiors to see what we can do to also support the people in preserving their culture. We have very ancient traditions, this indigenous faith traditions and the practices. And we used to stay with people in their home, a bamboo house, people sleep around a fire, and they cook basic things, whatever is available in the jungle, maybe a little bit of agriculture, not much in those places. And one day it struck me that for the last few days I've had no phone network, there is no electricity. 3 times a day I'm having this boiled local rice, that jungli chawal, and then just boiled leaves, jungle ke patte, like some of the things that they eat as a vegetable. But I was happy, and to realize that even in such a situation you can be comfortable for me was a great wealth, because that means that you really don't need much. And it doesn't mean I don't enjoy if someone puts me in a 5-star hotel, of course, very nice. But I'm not dependent on that for my happiness or for my peace of mind. And just to feel at ease. And I think this is a great wealth. Wherever you go, if you can feel at ease, if you can feel comfortable, life is so much better.
You recently authored a book on meditation, looking inward, meditation to survive in this challenging world. And it's really a very good name you selected for the same, because really it is a challenging time, and the world is also under a stiff challenge. And to survive in this particular, scenario is a very difficult task. So, what is this? The book you have authored. What does it concentrates on? Specifies?
So the book, I actually wrote it when I was in South Africa last year. I happened to be traveling in Africa when the global pandemic really hit.
How did it came also, like to author a book on this?
Yeah, so what happened is I was stuck in South Africa. I was there almost a year in the lockdown, and I realized that so many people were struggling with their mind, with their emotions, to deal with all these challenges and all the changes that were happening very rapidly. And we had many people reaching out also that can you do something, can you conduct something online? So we started doing many of the sessions and programs that we were used to doing offline, in person. We started doing it online, as many of us have started doing many things online. So, including online guided meditations, Gurudev Sri Ravi Shankarji started doing live meditations twice a day online on his YouTube channel and other places, and people, like millions from across the world, they joined in, and many people who may have never even meditated, and they really benefited. But it also made me realize that not everybody may know about this, not everybody may have access to this. So how can we make this practical knowledge of how the mind works, how to manage your mind and emotions, how to start meditating, or if you are meditating or trying to meditate, how to make your practice a little deeper or more consistent. So what I did is, and then I was approached by Penguin India with a similar request. They said, these are very challenging times. So, and they came across my website, they really liked it, and they thought, you would be a good person to write a book on something like this. So then I said, okay, let's do it. And just within a few months, I wrote the book. And what I did is I took a lot of the key learnings that I have learned over these last 20 years of my meditation practice, and also as a teacher of meditation, things that I've learned from my master and when conducting these programs, interacting with people. So I thought, how can I put it in such a way where it is an easy to understand and approachable language? It's not something very difficult, because right now everything else is already difficult enough. So we don't need to overcomplicate things, but how to present it in a way that it's easy for people to access, easy for them to implement, and at the same time it can really help them. Because of course some things is difficult to learn from a book. Like if we talk about yoga also, for example, You may have a good book, but then if you start practicing, if there's nobody to correct you, you may think you're doing it right, but you may not. Same problem with a YouTube video. You think you're doing the same thing, but if you're doing something wrong, you will never find out. Unless it starts hurting, maybe. So I thought, okay, how can we take something which is still a little abstract, like meditation, and present it in such a way where through the chapters of the book, we prepare people for this practice and give them something practical to start applying at home, practicing at home. And at the same time, of course, at the end of the book, I've given them a few ways how they can go even further. Like we offer various programs also. They would like to really, go through a meditation retreat or have some of that personal guidance from a trainer in person. But and I've taken some of these examples of the pandemic, because I was there in South Africa in touch with people all over the world. People used to reach out to me with their problems, their challenges. So it gave me a very practical framework to say, okay, yes, how can we address these things? How can I give people the tools to deal with this kind of challenges? And it's come out really nicely, and it's very inspiring to see that people, like the feedback I've been getting is really good. Of course, it's a challenge that still many places we are in a kind of lockdown state. I'm also still not traveling yet. We're not having much of offline activities or events. That will start again. So for now, it's all online, spreading the word. But the feedback has been very, very good and very encouraging. So I hope this book can help many people.
You were talking about your website. What's the name of your website?
It's my name, SwamiPurnachaitanya.com.
Okay.
And there people can find out. Yes, please.
Okay. And if a person wants to buy this book, how can he? Are they available on Amazon? Or
Yes. So it's very easy. In India, Amazon, Flipkart. In the big cities also, it's already there in many of the bookstores. But I think for now, for people, Amazon and Flipkart is the easiest. So
I thought it is available at your Art of Living Center or something.
No, it's available everywhere, and globally, the Kindle version is available already. So the ebook, and in some of the other countries already, publishers have started working on translation. So then the book will also be available, I think, early next year in many other parts of the world.
I think also, and I believe also, that this book will definitely do miracles for people who are, undergoing through depressions in this time. I've seen many old people who are unable to pass their time, and they are going through very stressful and depressful time. So this book, I think definitely will help a lot of people which are.
Yeah. At the same time, it's interesting to see that a lot of young people also are having a very keen interest. I see it on my social media, on my Instagram. People message me. So it's also very encouraging to see that the newer generations are actually very open to explore more. And it's very beneficial. Like I benefited greatly during my studies. Just, it saved me a lot of time. Because when your mind is more clear, it takes half the time to study. So
I think for youth also it will be a very good thing, because a lot of job cuttings happen across the globe. So I think this book will help them to come to maintain their disposition, to calm themselves, I suppose.
Yeah,
this will definitely.
Definitely, and to get that clarity, there is one chapter also I speak about that, because many of us actually we don't even have that clarity really where we want to go. It's interesting. Like you think, okay, I have to study something, and your parents may have an idea. You may have an idea, then you end up studying something, and in many cases people afterwards think, oh, but this is not something I want to do the rest of my life, or this is not really what I had hoped or thought. So many people are living their life like that, where it's like a lucky gamble, where you think, okay, let me do this or let me do that, and then along the way you may find out that this is not really what I wanted or hoped for, but then you don't know exactly what you want. You just know that this is not it. So it's like you're getting into a train, and you get out somewhere, and then you look around and you say, oh, this is not where I wanted to go, but you don't know exactly where you want to go. While if you knew, then it's very easy. Then if you're in Bangalore and you say, I want to go to Delhi, then you look for a train that goes to Delhi, or if that's not there, maybe a bus, and you will reach. But if you don't really know, and you just get in some random train, get out somewhere, and you keep doing that until you get out in a place and you think, oh, this is what I was looking for, you may spend your whole life and never reach.
Okay. Okay, can a person do meditation himself, or it should be guided? What's your suggestion? A person should do meditation, it should be guided, or by himself he can do and benefit?
No, one can definitely practice on their own. Initially, I would say yes, some guidance is required because you need to know what to do. Like anything, to figure it out yourself would be very, very difficult. Just like saying that, you can figure out how to become a doctor without going to school. If you have to reinvent the whole materia medica, it will take you so many lifetimes, So in the same way, that is why even in the book, I thought, let me share many of these main steps, how to get started, and also to have an understanding what real meditation is, so that you have some idea, even if you're saying, okay, there may be a class that I can do nearby, or if you have learned some meditation technique, or if you're looking for something, of course, even through the Art of Living, we are offering special programs for that. But once you have learned, or once you have this foundation, then you can practice on your own. So you don't require any app, you don't require any instructions. I personally prefer to meditate on my own, because once you've come to that point where you know how to do it, then it's nice that you're not reliant on anything. You can, anywhere you are, if you feel like, you can sit, you can meditate. So that is very much possible. So initially, that little bit of guidance, yes, I would say is a must for a proper meditation practice. And then beyond that, you're empowered.
Beyond that, it is your will that you have to continue it.
Yes. And to some extent also your good fortune, because I know some people, they may have an environment at home that is very conducive, and for some other people it may be very, very challenging. So little bit of good luck also has to be there maybe.
So another question, it is like not in the maybe not in the context, but I sometimes have streamed on YouTube some binary sounds. So does these binary sounds help composes the mind, which are
there are many things that have an impact on our mind, on the quality of our state of mind, the quality of our thoughts. Sound is one of them, definitely. Another is also the food we eat. Many people may not be aware of this, but you will see this. Some certain food, if you eat, when you start observing, afterwards you feel much more relaxed, much more peaceful, much more happy. Some food makes you more restless, or even makes you feel very dull, very lazy. So food is also an impact, and the place where you are can have an impact. That's why sometimes we love to go into the nature. It's not just because it's beautiful, it's also because the whole vibration there is much more peaceful. Same way, if you go to an old monastery or a temple or some place where a lot of people come to meditate or to chant mantras, or just being there for some time, you will start feeling lighter. Same if you go to the beach near the ocean, many people feel lighter. That's why people love to go to the beach. In India, it is little less, maybe because we have so many temples and places where the vibration is very nice. But if you see, especially abroad, people love to go to the sea, to the ocean. Even if they don't go to swim, just to be there, because that whole place makes you feel much more relaxed, makes you feel more at ease. So in the same way, sound also has an effect, but it's a limited impact. So that way, if you say, I'll just put some binary sounds or something and just listen to that to really have a proper meditation, I would say better you learn a proper technique. It's much more easy, faster, and it's more effective.
Okay. And you were talking about food. So it depends on body to body, or a specific customized can be taken by everybody.
So few things. So some principles will apply to everyone, and some things will depend also on your lifestyle, on the
ideal conditions.
Also sometimes, of course. Of course. So all that is there. But some basic things, like for example, if you see food which is very spicy, oily, fried, this kind of food will make you more restless, or it will make you feel very heavy. Same way, if you eat too much of sugar, people become hyperactive. So especially with children, you can see that. Like in my case, I remember my mom used to make sure that I don't overeat anything with too much sugar, because after that I'll be very difficult to control. I'll be jumping up and down. I will not sit still. So in those cases, she will tell me, okay, 10 times run around the house, and then I'll go run. And after that, she doesn't have to worry, because I will be sitting quiet on my own because energy is gone, it's spent. So in the same way, depending on our food habits, Like for some people, it may be more important to exercise a little every day. Same with your lifestyle. If you're sitting behind a desk all day, you should take out a little time at least to move the body around. That's important if you want to be balanced.
Okay. What has been your turning point in your life? There might be having some turning point. Everybody has in his or her life. So in your life, what has it been?
So I would say one turning point was definitely when I met Gurudev Shri Shri Ravi Shankarji, because for me, if I look at my life before that, I had that interest, you can say, in some of the spiritual things, martial arts, all of that. Also meditation, even though I didn't practice much because I didn't really know how. But then after meeting him, that you can say that looking for something shifted to having found something. So it gave me a lot of clarity in direction. Like I said, first you're looking for something, but you don't know exactly what. So I'll read some different books, something on Zen, something on Buddhism, autobiography of a yogi, some other books, some philosophy, Eastern, Western, everything. But then when I met him and I saw this is very practical, at the same time it has a lot of depth, it's very relevant to apply in our modern life. So for me then, instead of looking so many places, now I knew, okay, this is something I have found, and I started focusing on that, going deep into that. That was one turning point. And then I think during my studies in university, I was having a few jobs on the side to pay for my university tuition fees, to pay for my rent, because I had to rent a place in the city I was staying. You pay for your food, all of those things. And it made me realize that I always had this desire to contribute something, to be useful to other people. But I thought if this is how I'm going to live my life, it will leave very little space to do some service. No? So I was fortunate that I didn't have much of a direct family responsibility. My parents were taken care. My younger brother is also taken care of. So they were not dependent on me in any way. And that way I had the freedom to choose how I would like to live my life. So for me, it was a conscious decision where I said, okay, instead of spending most of my time earning the money to pay the rent, pay the bills, and then maybe having a little bit of time in the evening or in the weekend to do something that is also useful to other people, let me see if I can find a way to be more useful, because I didn't need much for myself. I was quite happy, content. Like some people have a dream, no? They say, oh, I want to have this car, or I want to have this kind of house, or I want to